I tend to talk a lot as a teacher. Definitely started off when things were changing in the teaching world from being a teacher in the front of the classroom to being more of a guide, student-led classroom, and grew up in a teacher-led environment. And so, that's kind of been my nature, to talk a lot, instruct, give information, and then help students deal with that information. I've been on the brink of doing something different, and MTP really helped me do that. The past 2 years, I started a building thinking classroom, and if you're familiar with that, the general idea is that students are working in groups at vertical whiteboards to discover topics and work through topics together, and it's much more interactive, and the teacher is more of like the guide on the side. The teacher creates problems, logic problems, or like a progression of problems for students to work through to help them develop understandings about concepts and come to conclusions on their own through this progression of problems. And it can be content-based or not. And I started that the same year that I started MTP, and so it was really helpful for me to see how this strategy was working in my classroom. Not only was it showing me how I was interacting with students, maybe that I spent too much time at each board or in each small group, or did I spend too much time giving directions? Because after a lesson, I wasn't necessarily realizing that in the moment. I was just trying to make things happen. We teach in about hour-long blocks, so it's not a whole lot of time to try and get a lot of this interactive work done. It also helped me see my students, ones I was working with, what kind of conversations we were having, what kind of feedback I was giving. So again, how I was reacting as a teacher, but then also how my students were growing, how they were changing, how they were working together differently. Those that I was aware of, interacting with, and those who maybe were behind me, in other groups around the room. So it gave me, just like any camera in your classroom, it's the eye in the sky, doesn't lie, right? So showing you how everyone was truly interacting gave me a much better feel for how things were going behaviorally, just conceptually, in this whole transition of me trying to change my teaching style. So I was so appreciative of this opportunity last year and this year in my growth as a building thinking classroom teacher, and just really becoming a teacher that, and it's what I truly believe in, really encouraging students to grow through concepts on their own, through their own discoveries and connections, through interaction and collaboration. And so MTP certainly helped me do that.